If you can't trade $50, you can't trade 5,000.
Yeah.
So let's get you working with $50 because you're going to go through the process first.
Hello and welcome to Pillars of Wealth Creation, where we talk about creating financial success with a special focus on business and real estate. I'm your host, Todd Dexheimer. Now, let's get to it. Hello and welcome back to Pillars of Wealth Creation. I'm your host, Todd Dexheimer. Excited to have Jamar James. Jamar, how are you doing today?
Oh, man, it's awesome. Great to be here. And thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate you coming on. Excited to dive into your story. And, we talk a lot of real estate here. We certainly talk about other things, but excited to have you on because it's been a while since we've talked about some of the stuff that you're into, digital currency and, trading like that. So we're going to dive in, but a little bit about Jamar is he's got a mastermind, DCG Mastermind. And through that and what he's done, he's impacted countless lives. And I think I really also want to dive into his story a little bit. So Jamar grew up in the inner city of Oakland, and man, let's talk about that. Let's start out with that. Like growing up in the inner city, the gangs, the drugs, all that kind of stuff. How do you grow up in that type of environment? And maybe you were negatively impacted by it and got involved in it, but how do you grow up in that type of environment and get out of it and be what you are today? So that kudos to you, by the way. That's impressive because a lot of people stay stuck there.
Yeah, I mean, I think it goes down. I mean, Oakland is it is two sides of the Bay Area. One is the haves and the other is the have-nots. And fortunately for me, I had a mom that worked for the post office for 35 years, and one of her big things was education. And so living in Oakland, in about third or fourth grade, I had the opportunity to get into a program in San Francisco for inner city kids, and I would take the BART every morning. I would wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning and get pretty much bussed over to San Francisco. And when I was on that bus, my mom would wake up at 4 o'clock. We would take an hour ride to the BART station. And, when I get on that train, I would see these guys in suits. And, it's 6 o'clock in the morning and they look kind of happy and they're high-fiving. And I'm sitting here like, my mom is tired. I'm tired. I'm going to school. And these guys are already energized, look like they worked out, and they were all going to the financial district. And so, I would come home and I was like, these guys are happy going to work, and everyone else I see is tired going to work. Yeah. And, when you come from the inner city, the environment kind of influences you. And my thing was going to school in San Francisco, it gave me an opportunity to see, it was a different lifestyle. And so the thing is that you don't have people in your environment that can tell you what they do, right? I've been around truckers and people that worked at grocery stores, all blue collar type jobs, but no one wore a suit in my family. No one went to college. They were all just hardworking people. And the environment in the Bay Area is a clear separation. The real estate on one side of the bridge was pretty affordable for rent. On the other side of the bridge, sky high for a studio. And that's how it was separated. For me though, I knew that I wasn't going to stay in the Bay Area. There's some people that say, hey, I love where I live. I'm never leaving. Sure. I know that I went through school and I was in honor classes. Since I was able to go to private school, I was able to get good grades and I graduated when I was 16. And when I was graduating, I was like,
graduated from high school when you're 16? You're smart.
I graduated when I was 16. Yeah. I was pretty smart. I stayed in school because I was spent half the time in the morning on the train and on coming back home.
So you're just doing homework.
I'm just doing homework, right? And studying, trying to stay out of trouble.
Yeah.
And at that point, I got somewhat of a scholarship, but I didn't know that you had to work. They give you a partial 50% or 70%. And some of it is sports. Some of it was, academics. And then it's like, well, that's not a full ride. My parents can't pay for it. And, I enlisted in the Marine Corps. And I think that was the best decision I ever could make because it moved me into a different environment. Now I'm around family man. I'm around guys that, were looking at, being financially responsible, taking care of their family, which, was a good influence for a young guy that, it was only me and my mom, and my
Yeah.
dad wasn't really around. He was a truck driver. So there was no male influences besides the negative. And from there in the Marine Corps, I just, I know I wasn't going to stay in the Marine Corps, but it gave me an opportunity to be someone different.
New
And from
environment.
there, I joined Prime America because everyone in the military, they were always saying, "Hey, what are you going to do when you get out?"
Yeah.
And I wanted to learn about finances. I remember the guys that were on the BART, and I was like, "Well, they were trading stocks, they were mutual funds, and I wanted to know more about finances." So while I was in the Marines, I joined Prime America. It's a typical place where they want you to refer your friends and family. And for me, it was like, well, my friends and family, they're all broke. I want to get the licensing. I want to get the education for myself. And um, while I was in Prime America, I met some guys in real estate. And he was, a 30-year-old guy. I'm a 20-year-old guy. And he's telling me that, oh, yeah, I'm thinking about retiring in a couple of years. And I'm like, well, what you mean
What are you
retire?
doing? Yeah.
His dad owned a Remax in Long Beach, and he had already owned like 30 properties.
Huh.
And so he was like, well, no, man, you can buy it. I was like, bro, I only get paid like 600 every 2 weeks. Like, how can I afford a property?
Yeah.
And so the first property I bought was a apartment turned condo that was by Long Beach State on the east side of Long Beach, close to the water. Back then, it was considered a rundown area, but it was 3 blocks away from the beach. I spent like 35,000 on it, so my payments were like 350,
Hmm.
and I was only getting 1,200. But when I got out of the Marine Corps in 1998, that same place I bought for 35,000 was worth like a 160.
Jeez.
And I realized that I made more money on that one deal at 22 than I made the whole time while I was in the Marine Corps.
Yeah. Right. Right.
And he was telling me buy more, buy more. And I was like, I'm a 20-year-old guy. Like, I don't want the responsibility. Like, what happened if the renters don't pay?
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
was like, your payments are 350, 370. Like, you'll always be able to rent it. At that time, the responsibility was overwhelming. I was a 20-year-old guy with my first property. And I was nervous that I was only getting paid 1,200 a month. And I had 400 that had to go to a rental that I wasn't living in.
Yep.
But that showed me the power of investing at a young age. And of course, Prime America, like, oh, you can put $25 a month into a mutual fund. And,
Yeah.
it's like, you look at it at the end of the year, it's like, hey, man, that's only $600
Yeah.
that I put out, I've been saving and trying to put in. It's like, it's
It's
not
gonna
going to work
take you a
out.
while. Yeah.
So, that gave me the insight of, buying real estate. And it was like, buy low and you're going to sell high. And, it was like a 3 or 4 year investment. Then I bought another one in Corona. I bought another in Long Beach. And I started buying real estate at, my first one was at 20, then 22, then 20, 24. And I loved the California coast. But as I started buying real estate, I started getting priced out, and I wanted to
Right.
buy bigger properties. I was buying condos in Long Beach, and I wanted to buy a house. So then I went into Corona, and I bought property that's kind of inland in California, and I started getting, and then the traffic was like an hour to get to work in Newport Beach.
Hmm.
And so once I got out, I was like, man, I'm driving an hour. Like, this is not a life. I started having flashbacks from, a kid saying that, hey, man, I'm
Taking the
driving an hour
BART.
to get to
Yeah.
school. I'm driving an hour to get to work. I'm spending
Yeah.
half my life, in traffic. And so I was like, well, I'm here in Corona. I own 3 properties. I just, I said, I went to Arizona one weekend. Someone told me, hey, I'm buying property in Arizona. So I went there and I was like, I seen a fight in a line of people trying to buy new builds. It was like 2004, 2005.
Oh wow.
They were trying to just put the deposit. And I was like, well, how much is the deposit? And they were like 5,000. And then I was like, well, how many can you put? You can put as many deposits as you wanted. So I put a deposit on 4 places, new builds. And it took like 6 months for them to get built. But I was still in California. And when they were ready, I think they were like 120. And when they were done, they were worth like 200. And so they were selling for 200, 210. And I put deposits for 120, 130. And so I sold all my properties like, hey, I'm going to Arizona. and now I have 4 houses,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And that
And
got me
this is
into real estate.
2004. So
2004,
we're tracking some time here, guys.
2004. So between 98 and 2004, you know, I had 6 properties. I was, I had actually went to school in Long Beach. I had got a computer science degree. I had my licensing for Primerica. I worked for Pacific Life Insurance since I was in the military.
So you're still
Uh,
working full time.
I was still working full time,
Yep. Doing the real estate on the side.
real estate. So then I said, hey, I'm going to Arizona, and I
Move to
sold my
Arizona.
properties. And then I moved to Arizona, and then they were
Yeah.
like, hey, you can't qualify. You don't have a job. I was like, well, I have cash. I have money, you know,
Yeah.
and it's like, it doesn't work like that. So I had to find a job in Arizona, right? So I could actually close on the houses. And, you know, once I closed on them, I had money in the bank, and I had renters. And then I was like, I got with a investor. And it's like, well, you know, I want to buy more property. And it was a pre-foreclosure course. And then I started getting into pre-foreclosures, and I got my real estate license. I started, I had the computer experience, so I built a website, and I started getting so many leads. And I was like, well, man, I can't buy all these houses. And another realtor was like, bro, just hire a broker and start your own company and split it with the real estate agents. So I became a de facto real estate owner of a real estate business, that because I had the business, but I really didn't want to be a real estate owner,
Yep.
or own a business.
Own a
I just wanted
business.
to buy the real estate.
Right.
And of course, as you start making money and you start getting more agents, I started off with 1 or 2 agents that joined me. I would give them all the leads. Then all you know, about 8 months later, I had 60 realtors, because they realized I was giving all the leads away, right? And so then their friends would come, and the real estate company grew. And then it's the hardest to go from a small business to a large business. Most people, they get to the medium size, and that's where they crash, because they scale too fast.
Yeah.
And, you know, I got one office, and they said, hey, we need another office here, another office. I realized I had 3 offices, and I had these agents, and I was just paying out expenses.
Yeah.
And I never
Your
thought the real
overhead's
estate,
getting bigger and bigger, and the income's not necessarily following as quickly.
it wasn't, well, the income was coming in and agents were coming, but once the market started slowing down and you started having short sales, and, you know, the deals weren't closing anymore, I seen it, you know,
The expenses didn't go away.
Yeah, because as an owner, you're not just a businessman. You're almost a psychologist. You're a counsel. You're you know, doing support for employees.
Yeah.
So it became more of, I wasn't equipped to run 3 offices in a business, and it wasn't fun to me. It wasn't the lifestyle I wanted. Even though I didn't want the lifestyle of working a 9 to 5, I felt like I was working more as a business owner.
Sure.
Right. You know, 3 offices, and it was always something that someone you had to meet, someone flying in. So the real estate as an investor was good. As a owner, I was too young and not equipped for it. And, you know, when the market crashed, I thought it was a great opportunity. I was like, I had a business coach, and he was like, what is your perfect day? And I was like, oh man, my perfect day is riding my motorcycle up the coast, playing racquetball, you know, being able to spend time with my
I
kids.
love racquetball. That's a great sport.
Yeah, racquetball. So I play now every day almost. I ride a motorcycle. You know, I'm able to spend time with the kids. I'm a softball dad. I go to events every weekend. But you know, he walked me through this exercise of your perfect day. And I was like, well, yeah, man, riding a motorcycle, hanging out at the beach. He was like, well, you're in Arizona. There's no beach here. There's no hanging out every day in 120 degrees. He was like, you need to sell your business, and you need to move if you really want to live your perfect day now. And, you know, I took that advice, and I sold the business. You know, I sold the real estate that I had, and then I moved to Costa Mesa, close to Newport Beach.
So this is as what year is this?
2008. So I was there in Arizona from 2004 to 2008.
And did you
2009,
sell your business and your real estate and make money?
I sold the business. But of course, when you leave and you sell the business, I got a down payment. The guys took over the lease,
Yeah.
over the buildings.
Yeah.
And
Well, and
all
the market just crashed.
yeah, the market just crashed. So, you know, they gave me cash to cash out.
Okay.
but then they still owed me about another 250,000 that I
Okay.
never got paid on.
Never got paid on. Sure.
And at that point, you know, it's like I could have went back and forth and, kind of sued. But for me, it was like, you know, I sold properties, I had money, so it wasn't that I was distressed,
Yeah.
but the stress of running the business, and I felt like, hey, I got out, and they got the business, it's fine. The agents were kind of loyal to me.
Hmm.
And so when he took over, he really took over the book of business, the short sales, and then he stopped paying out. And
Hmm.
so at that point, I called it. It was a learning experience. Not a
Yeah.
loss, but a learning experience. And we could have been in court going back and forth, but I had a kid, and it was more important for me to be sane.
Yeah. It's funny. I was talking to an attorney the other day and he was talking about lawsuits. And one of the things he said is he said, I had a client the one time that went through a whole long legal battle drawn out and he ended up winning and he won $590,000. And he looked at me straight in the face and said, that wasn't worth it.
Wasn't worth it.
Yeah.
Right.
He won $590,000. Now he
Yeah.
spent a lot of money on attorney fees, so I'm sure it wasn't pure profit. But yeah,
Right.
he said the guy looked at me right in the face and said it wasn't worth it.
Wasn't worth it. And that's another experience that I got. So after the real estate company, I sold it and everything. I got audited by the IRS.
Mm.
And the audit by the IRS, because I had some agents that were independent agents, they actually filed unemployment during the 2009 crash,
Oh, geez.
right? And I was like, how do you file unemployment? So I had to defend myself against the IRS, saying that, hey,
Yeah.
I was a real estate owner. These are independent contractors. And some of the realtors, they filed for unemployment insurance because it was during that time where
Everything
everyone was
was,
losing their jobs,
yeah.
everything was bad. But it put me in a bind because then I had to show that, hey, these are independent contractors, go through the books. And at that point, I was in California and the business was Arizona. They froze my bank account to get my attention,
Jeez.
right? And so when they froze my bank account, that is how, I never I had this angry energy, like I would never want the IRS to be able to freeze my account or, you know,
Huh.
stop my money. And so I got into trading, I got into crypto, I got into Bitcoin, and it was like I could become my own bank, right? I don't
And
have to
that,
put all my money into a bank.
yeah. And so what was the first year you started really trading?
So
Would you say
2009,
2009?
I got into investing,
Okay.
the investing and swing trading.
Yeah.
By 2010, I realized that I made about 80 grand by just putting 100,000 into stocks during 2009, right? And it went up 80% in
Mm.
6 months. And I was like, I'm not working. It reminded me of the real estate. I bought it 6 months, 7 months later on the stocks. I'm up like 80 grand because I bought during the low. And it was like in real estate, you would buy something and maybe hold it for a year, 7 years, 3 years, 5 years, and you'll get a return. But sometimes it's 100%, sometimes it's 40, 50, and you'll be happy. In the
Yep.
stock market, you can put the same amount. For some day traders, they can do it in a day, some couple of weeks or a month. It just depends on the skill level that you have. But I realized that I made a lot of money without the office space, without the employees, um, just through investing. And so that kind of gave me the buck to actually focus. And I went into T3 trading. I went into different prop firms and I started learning behind the scenes how the high frequency trading worked. So my first exposure to trading was investing. Second was swing trading, and then the high frequency trading of going in and out day trading. About 2013, I was going through the audit from 2009 from the IRS, and they were telling me that, well, we're not going to negotiate with you because you're in real estate and you had the potential to make a lot more money. And so, they don't negotiate when they know that you had the potential and you were in real estate and you had big checks. It's like, well, you're an earner. There's nothing you can do besides pay us. And
They
that made me
they
more
know.
motivated. Huh?
So they said, "Hey, we know you can make money. Like,
You have
we're
a
not,
history of making money.
yeah.
So we're not going to
Interesting.
negotiate with you.
Interesting.
If I had a job, a nice low payment plan would work.
Yeah.
But if you do anything real estate, stock related, you have the potential to pay them all back.
Yeah. And they're like, hey, you're just going to pay us. Too bad.
Right. So these are the pillars of wealth, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. If you are not wealthy, your loans can get forgiven.
Yeah.
But if you've been wealthy, right, they say you can get it again.
You get again. Well, which, you know what? Quite frankly, they're smart. They
Right.
understand it. Right.
Right. And I guess the thing is that a person that's wealthy wouldn't want to go back to a lifestyle of being
Yeah.
poor. So they're going to figure it out.
They're
If
going to
they've
figure
done
it
it
out.
once, they're going to do it again.
Yep. Um, man, so appreciate all that. One of the things I want to go back to the very beginning, just make a comment on it. But you're in this environment with your mom, um, and you're in a poor neighborhood. You've got everybody around you is working, if they're working.
If
Probably
they're
had
working.
plenty of people that
Right.
weren't working too, right? But the people that were working are working factory jobs or they're working labor jobs, right? They're
Labor
not
jobs.
putting a suit on, as you said. But you get in this environment, and this is the key right here, for the listeners, is you get in the environment that influences you in a positive way. You see these positive, basically role models that are around you. You didn't know these people, but they're riding the
Right.
train with you.
Right.
And you meet these positive role models that affect you in a way that you go, okay, I can see this way and I can see this way, and this way looks better. And I like this way. And so I got to figure out how to become more like that. And that's exactly a huge success principle, is if you want to become somebody, surround yourself with them, right?
Right.
Or around them. Like if you want to say, hey, I want to do better, well then be around people that are doing better.
Your environment to me is the number one indicator of
Yeah.
of creating change.
Yeah. And it was, I mean, fortunately, you took that train, right? And
Right.
you had those people around you. And so you're able to see that environment, and you had the wherewithal to actually look at it and see these people and not look at them. So I think there's two ways to look at a person like that, that's wearing a suit, that's giving high fives. It looks like they got to the gym. They're happy. They're
Right.
smiling. You can look at them in a jealous way and say, they sucked, a bunch of rich people, I hate them. Or you can look at it and go,
I
man,
want that.
that's what I want, right?
What
And
I
you
want.
looked at it and said, man, that's what I want. And so that, kudos to you for doing that, because you could have went either way, right?
I think in innocence, you really don't have an opportunity to be jealous. You only
Yeah,
have opportunity to desire.
yeah,
And it gave
yeah.
you hope, right? Because when you see everyone else tired and the other environment is negative and dark,
Mm,
and people don't have jobs and people are on drugs, and everyone is broke together, right? And so you don't feel out of place. But then
yeah,
you get on a place and it's like, hey, these people are happy. They're going to work and they actually enjoy it. They're not tired, and it gives you hope that, hey, well, maybe this is not the. I felt special to go to school in a different city.
yeah,
It
yeah,
costs just to go from, one place to the other, back and forth every day. So it was an expense, and you know, I felt like I had to make it work because my parents were sacrificing. My mom
yeah,
sacrificed so much for me to go
yeah,
that I wanted more.
yeah. That's true. And it leads us to this environment, people around you, the influencers. And look, if you're listening and you're wanting to get to the next level, or you're stuck in the level you're at, just surround yourself with the people again. And you've got this mastermind, this DCG mastermind, and
Right.
that's part of the power of a mastermind, is that you're putting yourself in an environment where there's people that are wanting to do exactly what you do, that are doing what you do. Then you probably get people that are at a lower level than you, at a higher level than you, and everywhere
Right.
in between. And
Well,
we're all then positively impacted by that. Talk me through DCG. What do you guys like?
right.
Yeah,
So
let's talk about that mastermind. What is it?
yeah, so one of the books I was really influenced by is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon
Mm,
Hill.
yeah.
And before I went in the Marine Corps, right, I used to read these self-help books, how to help yourself.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because I had no one to talk to.
Yeah.
And then when I got in the Marine Corps, I realized that everything we did was in a group environment. And it
Mm.
wasn't watch a bunch of YouTubes. It wasn't read this manual. It was
Yeah.
everything was hands on. And so I learned so much from other men. I learned so much from the environment that, to me, even joining the Marine Corps was a mastermind in itself.
Yeah.
And so, when I got into after 2008, I had a business coach. He introduced me to a lot of different organizations of CEOs and things of that nature. But when I got into trading, I joined communities, and it was a bunch of pump groups, penny stocks, Timothy Sykes type groups where it was a bunch of motivation, but no experience.
Mm.
Just a bunch of guys, wishing that they were going to be traders.
Dreaming about being traders, thinking they
Dreaming
were
about being
traders, but
traders, spending extra money that they had, losing money. Everything was
yeah.
hype and there was no skill behind it.
Huh.
And I knew from the Marine Corps that, there's a process to everything.
Yeah.
And so, once I've, joined the different schools of trading and prop firms, every time I joined a prop firm, they would put me with other more experienced traders. And it wasn't like, hey, go read this book, watch this YouTube. It's like, hey, you're assigned to John and Dave over there, and they're going to show you how we operate in this firm. So every trader that I've been around that's successful had mentors, and they had other traders to kind of bounce ideas from, and they surround you in that environment. If you go to
Yeah.
Wall Street, they have a junior trader, a junior analyst. He sleeps there 20 hours a day inside the office and surrounded by other Wall Street guys. And so, for me, the mastermind, one weekend I was on Facebook, and some people knew I actually traded, and they knew me from the real estate days. And they
Yeah.
were like, he actually does it. He door knocked with us, he pre-foreclosed, but he's not doing real estate. So what
What's
the
he doing?
hell? They're
Yeah.
on Facebook and they see that I'm at the beach and I'm hanging out. And they were like, I told them I trade now. And so one weekend they was like, well, do you have a course or anything? I was like, I don't have a course, but I'll help guys. And one weekend I said, hey, I'm gonna start a mastermind for traders. If you're interested, here's a link. It was like $99 a month. And that weekend I had 140 people that follow me on Facebook.
Wow.
Sign up. And for me, I've never wanted to be a teacher. The same reason I never wanted to be a real estate owner or own a business. I never wanted to be a teacher. And I had 140 students from Friday to Saturday. And I was like, well, Monday the class starts. And I told them that, hey, this is not a course or a class. This is a mastermind.
Yeah.
And from that point, I went live. I showed them how to trade. I took 10 guys, and I basically mentored them. And I said, hey, for me mentoring you, I want you to give 2 hours a week to me. And it was just another business model. And they became my staff. And that mastermind grew, and the culture grew of, we're anti-school, anti-corporate, but we want to be surrounded by real traders that are making a living through trading, because every other course, there's fake gurus, there's people that say they trade and you never see it.
Yeah.
And for us, we actually trade together and we meet in person. So the mastermind was to take a entrepreneur or a business person that really wanted to learn and put them around other guys that are either experienced or new, in the middle, and we all help each other. And so it's a typical mastermind, but we have real traders, over 200 traders that are trading full time. And now I tell them, you never trust one person. You can have a variety of people that you can work with.
Trading is so foreign to me,
Right.
how you actually be successful at it, right? So I get it, yeah, but like, how do you truly beat the market? Like, why wouldn't you just be better off if you got $100,000, just throw it into a bunch of, different stocks that are in good, solid companies, and just letting it sit there for the next 50 years, right? But you're talking trading and that, so you're talking making
So let me
several buys
give
and
you a theory.
yeah,
Let me
you're
give you a
buying and
theory
selling all the
about Wall
time,
Street.
right? I'm a real estate guy. Things move slow for me.
Okay, so
Right?
let me give you a theory about real estate, and let me give you a theory about trading.
Yeah.
Right. If you have 100,000,
Yeah.
and you talk to a financial analyst that's licensed, you talk to a doctor that's licensed and he works for Kaiser, right? They have procedures and processes. What is the job of a financial advisor that works for Merrill Lynch or JP Morgan?
I mean, they're selling their product, right? They're selling
They're selling the product,
mutual fund or, that type
right?
of stuff.
So they're not a trader,
No.
right? And so they're selling the product. So you give me your money, hard-earned money to a person. His job is to get money under management. Their job is to keep money under management. So whether the market goes up or down, they get a fee for taking money under management. And it is too difficult for them. They know when the market, we know that, hey, if Boeing, if we see Boeing in the sky and they catch on fire, we know that Boeing has stock and the plane just caught on fire, they're being recalled. We understand that Boeing is going to, their price is going to drop. People are going to sell their stock, right? The institutions are going to sell, right? For the average person, they're told just, hey, stay in the market, continue to put more money in.
Yeah.
And over time, Boeing is going to be back.
Yeah.
In the meantime, they get paid whether they make a trade or not make a trade because their job is money under management. For a individual, if you were to call your financial advisor and say, you know what, the market is dropping, it's been going down, just move it over to a money market account. They will move it over to a money market account. And then when you see the market going back up, you can say, hey, move it back into the stocks now, right? Just that one move a year, a couple of moves a year will sometimes double your account and grow your account faster, right? Just because you have the knowledge to say, hey, the market is dropping, we all see it. The real estate is going down. Just move it to cash. Yep. Take it out of the stock market, move to cash. Just by having that knowledge, you will earn more because now you're buying the lows with the same portfolio.
Yeah.
Right. But if I had 100,000 people that I'm managing their money, how many moves could I make with all that money at one time?
Well, and you're not usually making those moves unless somebody tells you to as well.
Someone tells you, right? And so no financial advisor, unless you have a private fund, right, is going to call you. You had your money with JP Morgan or wherever. Hey, I think the market is going to go down. It's going down. We're going to move your money over to a money market account.
Let's go to cash. And then
you're paying a fee.
They call you 6 months later and go, hey, now's the time to buy. All right.
Right. Now the time to get more money under management.
Yeah.
So as a trader, we have the advantage because now I control my own. I can go log into my account. You can have a self-managed 401k. And you can go make those same moves yourself. You have 100, 200,000, you have your life savings. You've heard of people saying, hey, man, my life savings, it went down during 2008, 2009. It's just now recovering 15 years later.
Yeah.
Right. And all they had to do was log into their account and move it to a money market account and buy the lows.
Yeah.
They're getting nervous.
Yeah. Even if it drops, if you would have moved that money and then move it back in at the lowers, it doesn't even have to be the lowest of the lows, right?
Yeah, it's just that you saved it. I mean, you just watch your account go from 500 to 100,000, and you could just move at 400, moved it over, and then rebought it at 100,000 and had 4 times more.
I mean, it's value add investing. It's the same thing. And I don't spend a lot of time on it because I'm focused on the real estate. But when I saw the oil, go way down, I bought Exxon stock at 36 a share or whatever it was, and I sold it at 109 a share. And and you're right. It's just, you look at it and you go, okay, come on. I mean, sure, things aren't going great in that industry, but is it really like evaporating? Like, no,
no. Is oil really going to disappear when we still have cars and vehicles on the road?
Yeah. Like, no, it's still here. We're still okay. The price is super low. Let's buy now. So that's kind of what you're looking for, right?
That's exactly what we're looking for. And it's the same. It's just that most real estate guys, most of anyone that's in the profession, they're so focused on just their industry when, even if you know your real estate market is going down, why not short or buy ETF that's inverse of real estate market? Because you already know, and it's like you're giving away free money, right? It's the same investment, so you can actually leverage. Hey, I got all this property. Renters, they're not paying. The rates are going up. You go down and short the real estate market, and then when you start seeing them come back in, say, "Oh, you know what? I'm gonna pull it out now." Yeah, and you'll be in profits. But it's it's the fact that we have the ownership. So in the mastermind, most of our guys are professionals, they own other businesses, but they're in the environment where they're staying involved. So a swing trader, an investor, they're in there, but a day trader just doing it more frequently, right? Intraday or during the day. So for me, my typical day is from six
Yeah,
to
that's what I was going to ask you. Like, how many trades? What are you doing a day? You're
so today I only had two trades.
two trades.
Adobe, I loaned Adobe and I loaned Baba, right? Because they getting Baba is Alibaba, a Chinese stock that
Yep.
they're getting I didn't even touch crypto today, right? Because crypto has been trending down. It bounced today, but it's been trending down ever since the Bitcoin ETF because when Wall Street gets involved, right now they can reallocate money. They don't care if Bitcoin goes up or down. They get paid off the volatility.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when for most retail guys, oh, the Bitcoin is legal now, or there's ETFs. They use the ETFs to get more money under management, right? Because now you have these guys, oh, I can get Bitcoin exposure and JP Morgan can handle it for me, or BlackRock can handle it for me. So then they'll just deposit their money and they deposit the money and all of a sudden Bitcoin drops. And those guys, they're not buying it. They're saying, hey, no, we got your money in Bitcoin. It's going to come back. Just sit still and wait.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because they get money under management. That's their job.
Are you waiting for Bitcoin to drop to a certain amount before you buy? I just was talking to somebody about this. They were waiting. They think that Bitcoin's going to drop pretty drastically, quite frankly.
Yeah. We're in a
And
short position. Right? You make money when it goes down and goes up.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
there is no, when you know the trend, it doesn't we don't care particularly like
You're okay
Bitcoin is
with
going
it.
to the moon. It's
Yep.
like, no, we have opportunity that is trending down
Yep.
and it was trending up. And then you just switch the position.
Interesting. What, obviously there's risks in day trading, and what do you do? And maybe you've already answered this, but what do you do to mitigate some of those risks?
It's to manage expectations, right? It is to say that, hey, you're not getting into the group to make money. You're getting in the group to learn, right? Because the most people lose because they're emotionally attached to the dollar amount and the price.
Yeah.
So they're trying to figure out and forecast the market. Hey, is it going up? Is it going down? As a trader, it's like volatility creates opportunity. So when you're around other traders, there's not an emotional aspect. It's like a boxer. What do you do if you want to start boxing? Well, you have to step in the ring, and the goal is not to get knocked out. Right? You may get a hit, you may have your guard up, and some punches may hit you. But the goal is, hey, it's 10 rounds. I wanna not get hit. And so managing risks is the number one thing. The first thing I get asked when people want to get into the mastermind, how much money do I need to trade? I tell them $50. And it's kind of like a joke. Yeah, $50. What do you mean I only need $50? Well, I don't want you to lose. So $50 is the process is the same. If you can't trade $50, you can't trade 5,000.
Yeah.
So let's get you working with $50 because you're going to go through the process first.
Huh. It makes
right?
sense, right? You probably learn with a lesser amount. You probably don't need to
Right.
take your 500K that you might have.
We make more than doctors.
Yeah.
But would you let a person who's going to medical school operate on somebody live?
Yeah. Right.
Like, no,
I'm
you don't.
not risking that, I guess.
Right. I don't want to be the one on a pilot. I don't want to see a doctor until I know that, hey, he's had some experience. So why would I let a trader come in and hop in the stock market with $5,000 when, like, hey, let's just do it with $50 to walk you through the process first?
Maybe you don't have the statistic. Maybe you do. On your average, let's call it week or month, or maybe it's a year. Like how many deals are you losing money on versus making money on? I just kind of want to know how often you lose it. Do you have a ratio there or like an
Yeah.
idea?
So I mean, how I trade momentum.
Okay.
I lose about 60% of the time.
Really?
So it's like a batter. 6 out of 10 times I'm losing.
Yeah.
because I'll take a small loss. So I lost 6 times today. Right. I had 2 trades that were successful. The 6 trades I lost was $40, $100. Right. I stopped out. And the trade on Adobe, I made 1,500. So my goal is $1,000 a day. And that's just, to me, that's a small goal. But that is $1,000 a day. And normally I'll make that off of 1 or 2 trades. And then the other trades don't work out. I'll lose 150, $200. And that's just the cost of doing business, of being in the market and being wrong.
Right.
I'm just a fast loser.
Yep.
I lose fast.
But I think that really is important. If somebody's going to be in a business like this, they have to understand, like, you're not winning every time. You're
not winning. No trade. And
I'm glad you said a high number. I was expecting it to be high, but I was nervous you were going to be like, oh, I never lose. So
I mean, that's, the market is choppy 80% of the time, meaning that most of the time the market is up and down, up and down. You have rare days that 20% of the time is 1 out of 5 days it is trending. It will go in the same direction the entire time. Right. And those days are the days you make 80% of your money. Right. So the wins, on just with 2,000 or 3,000, maybe 1,000 to 10,000. Right. And that's 20%. That's 20% of the time. So some days you'll make 5,000 or 8,000, 10,000 off of a small account.
Yeah.
And the rest of the times you're losing a lot of small, I call it 1,000 cuts, right? Chop here, $50 here, $200 here, if you know how to lose.
Yeah.
I like to say that we teach people how to lose, because the same thing in real estate. How do you protect your asset? How do you protect your investment? Right? You have to get renters. You have to screen them out. That's like an important process. You don't just put anyone in there, because you have to protect your investment first.
Yep.
You have to have insurance. You want to make sure that there's, the real estate is safe in a great location, or that you're going to have rent for it. It's not going to sit too long. I mean, all those things are things that you consider.
What's your thought on, you mentioned crypto. What's your thought on crypto? Is it going to stay around? Is it?
Yeah, 1,000%. Crypto.
Is it something that we're going to start? Crypto to me seems like, well, when are we going to start using it? Right? Because we've been hearing about crypto for a long time. It's not like it came about to yesterday, right?
Right.
I've been hearing about it for a long time, but nobody uses it. It's not like you're like, hey, I got this crypto, it's like nobody uses it. So
I have to invite you to Mastermind. We have people that only use crypto.
Really?
They only use Bitcoin. They pay their bills. They pay everything. We call those guys Maximus. That they only want Bitcoin because it's just another currency, right? And so the mainstream, it's not going to switch over. It's hard to get your grandma and a guy that's been around 40, 50 years to start using crypto when he's cash is king. But for the new guys, our kids that use PayPal, they use Venmo, they use Zelle, their money is already cashless. They're already in a digital society.
True.
And so in exchange, if we went to Mexico, we would have pesos, and we came to the United States, we would take them to an exchange and we would convert those pesos to dollars, right? Bitcoin is a digital currency. So you can go any country in the world.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
And you can convert your Bitcoin to whatever currency that is. And now you're in that currency. The thing is that you had a freedom to take that currency anywhere you want. Whereas in your bank, it is locked from the bank system, and it has to be wired from one bank to the next, and they don't have to give it to you.
Yep.
So for the new generation, digital assets and currency is going to be, you go to Starbucks and everyone has their money on the Starbucks app, right? That's one of the biggest banks in the world now, is the Starbucks reward program.
Really?
They're holding more money than most regional banks.
That's crazy.
Right? If you have a Starbucks card and a reward, when you go pay, this is what you do. You put your phone up and they scan your phone. You don't exchange cash. You loaded their money on. So Bitcoin, you can load money onto a Visa, a debit card, and anywhere Visa or debit card is accepted, you convert your crypto to a Visa or debit. Now, what if I went to another country and I didn't have a Visa card, a plastic? If I didn't have my wallet with plastic, could I get cash just with my phone? MoneyGram is is a is a program that's integrated with crypto. So I can walk in any MoneyGram and say, hey, I want to convert this crypto without a debit card, without an ATM, bank ATM, and says, hey, I'm gonna send you crypto. Can you give me cash? Now I've just became my own bank where I've converted my crypto to cash without a debit card or without a bank.
Interesting. I didn't know you could do that. I've got very little crypto. I do have some,
Right.
but I have to admit that I've got very little. And it's just something that I've always been a little bit, I'm maybe just too slow of a learner. But I've always been a little skeptical about it. And I don't think I'm as skeptical about that it's going to be a use, and that
Right.
I think I'm more skeptical that the current form of cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, and you name it, right? That they're going to be still in use in 10 years. That let's call it Bitcoin, to pick on Bitcoin. That Bitcoin, I'm a little skeptical that Bitcoin is going to be AOL,
Right.
and that so I'm going to go heavily invested in Bitcoin. I got a bunch of Bitcoin, and now Bitcoin is gone
Right.
because it just, whatever, government put
Yeah.
mandates in place. Who knows, right?
Right.
That's my hold back on it. I'd just like to, I guess, know your thoughts on
Yeah.
kind of that thought process.
It just excuse my French, like the ignorance.
Yeah.
Some people don't want to hold real estate because they worry about the real estate market in different places, like in Ohio or
Sure.
Cincinnati, and in Oakland,
Lack of knowledge.
right, lack of knowledge.
Yeah.
So they think that the property value is not good, but it's land. It's an
Yeah.
asset. And
Yeah.
there's always a real estate investor that wants that asset. In crypto in the rest of the world, even if it's banned in the United States, in the rest of the world, like in Argentina and Africa, they don't believe in their government. And they don't believe in the currency that the government supports.
Yeah.
So even in China, where pretty much any business there, they share an account with the government.
Yeah.
They want to have some currency that people to people, right?
Yeah.
And so even if you don't believe in it, the people that do, it's like a collector's card. I don't buy baseball cards, football cards, but if I had a Joe Montana Ricky card or a Mark McGwire Ricky card, there's a collector out there that would pay me top dollar for that Mark McGwire or that Joe Montana, even though I don't value it. Someone else out there does.
Yeah.
That is Bitcoin.
Yeah. Speaking of which, I just found out that I have a Deion Sanders rookie card because I took them out to show my kids, and I found out I have a Deion Sanders rookie card that's worth like $1,500 or something like that. And I got to sell it because I don't
Yeah,
need this
yeah.
thing. Maybe I'll sell it and then join your mastermind, and then we can we get some money to trade with.
Right.
That would
And,
be
and
good.
that's the pillar of wealth, though, right? Because if
Yeah.
a lot of wealthy people, where do they put their money? They want to buy an asset. They want to buy an art piece,
Right.
right? And that art piece is $1 million, $2 million.
Yep.
And it's a way for them to put their wealth in somewhere other than a bank.
Yeah.
So they'll buy a yacht, a violin, a art piece. And for me, that art piece, I wouldn't give them $1,000.
Yeah, you're like, this
right?
is I'll buy this for $150. They're like, this is $20,000.
Right. But an art collector.
Yeah.
So
Right.
you got to think that there's people like me that I'd rather have crypto than money, right? Than cash.
Right.
Because I know that I know what could be done with the crypto.
Right.
Right. There's places I can stake my crypto and they pay me 30%, 40% on that same money, where if I put it in the bank with the dollar, I'll never get 30 or 40% on that money.
That makes a lot of sense. When you liken it to something like that makes a lot of sense. It's more valuable to some people than it is to others. It might not be valuable to the 80-year-old guy that just doesn't care about it, that wants nothing to do with it. They're cash. That's it. They want the dollar bill. They don't want this Bitcoin or,
Right.
So it's not valuable to them, but it's valuable to plenty of other people.
Right. And it's almost illegal for us to actually interact with individuals because then now they're thinking that you're operating as a money transmitter business if you sell your Bitcoin to other people.
Hmm.
So you have to have a license to even interact, as a business.
Yeah.
But in a private environment, in a community where you all value the same thing, now it's private. It's not a business. It's we're helping each other.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And so in those environments, it becomes way more valuable.
Interesting. Well, I'd like to spend a lot more time on this. Maybe I need to get you back on the show and to really dive into crypto because it's just something that I think I feel like I and my audience probably needs to learn a lot more about. But we're running out of time. I want to respect your time. Um, I really just got one last question before we wrap up. And it's one that I ask everybody. It's what are your 3 pillars of wealth creation?
3 pillars of wealth creation. I like to start with time freedom, the things that I really value. And I think every human, right? So, I understand the importance of even having the ability to think.
Yeah.
Some people are so busy in life that they don't even have the time to think. They don't have the time to listen to the podcast. They don't have time to even make a difference and a change in their life. So, the whole goal of our mastermind is to gain financial resources in a short amount of time. And then it's relationships and networks, because I believe that who you know and your environment that you are associated with will give you a help you with your net worth, will help you with seeing the world a little bit different, the experience.
Yeah.
And then of course, the other part of wealth is having resources that you can be free, right? That you're not in survival mode. I looked at family that I had, and most people in the inner city is in survival mode. They don't have time to thrive. So your first friends, where I came from, was out of survival mode. My new friends are out of thrive mode. It's an environment where we had the resources to thrive.
Yeah. It's a lot different mindset.
A lot different mindset.
Yeah. Love that. Love that. Jamar, I guess last and final question is how can our listeners get in touch with you, learn more about what you got going on, check out the mastermind? How can they get in touch?
Yeah, so you can actually find me on Facebook and Instagram, Jamar James. And then you can also take a free course if you go to joindcg.com. It is a free 7-step challenge to get you into crypto, to get you into trading. And it's an introduction into our environment. It's self-paced, and you'll have access to the 7 things I think you need to know in crypto. And it's hands-on, where it gives you tasks to actually do, like get a wallet, get a Coinbase account. It introduces you to the steps you need to get involved in crypto.
Cool. That's awesome. Look, man, Jamar, really appreciate it. Appreciate the time. This has been very interesting. Great story. A lot of, just a lot of good advice, and love the journey from, where you started to the Marines and to the real estate and to where you're at today. So great story, great pieces of advice. Love the 3 pillars. Listeners, check out joindcg.com. Jamar, man, again, appreciate it. You have a fantastic rest of the day.
Thank you so much. And thank you for letting me share this story. And I appreciate your time as well.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for listening. I appreciate you being a loyal listener. I would love to have you go on to our Facebook page and subscribe, give us a thumbs up, go on to iTunes or wherever you listen and give us a rating and review. Don't forget to subscribe. Your rating and review just helps us push this out to more and more people and continue to grow our audience and hopefully positively affect a ton of people out there that really need this and want this. So the other thing I've got for you is a free ebook on my website. So go on to venturedproperties.com, and download our free ebook on real estate and on syndication. And I've got some data points in there, some really good stuff for you. So I'd love to have you take a look at that. It's free. I'm not expecting anything from it. And also, look, if you want some help in multifamily, want some help learning, growing, getting your business off the ground, I would love to talk to you about what it would look like to work with me potentially and see if that's a good fit. So you can go to coachwithdex.com and check that out. And we can definitely have a call. Thanks a lot for listening. You make it a fantastic rest of the day. I'll catch you on the next episode.